video from Fast Tech. In this one, I'm going to be showing you guys how to disassemble an Xbox 360 Slim. I'm going to be disassembling it down to the motherboard, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to replace each component when it fails. You're going to need some specialized tools to open your Xbox 360S, including a Torx T8 and a Torx T10 driver, both of which are included in our Fast Tech Pro Auto Kit and also in our Fast Tech Pro Toolkit. Links for those are going to be in the description box. We also sell all Xbox 360 parts on our website, and I'll include them in the description box and the top comment as well. Let's get started. The first thing I'm going to be showing you guys is how to remove the hard drive and replace it. This is a very user replaceable item. All you got to do is pull this flap here, and then you're going to see a slot for a hard drive here. If you have a hard drive in the system already, you're going to see a piece of fabric or a band or a pull tab, which if it's an original Microsoft product, it's going to say 250 gigabyte, 500 gigabyte on the strap itself, and you can pull out the hard drive at that point and replace it if needed. That's fairly simple, fairly easy. The next thing I'm going to be showing you guys is how to replace the Wi-Fi / Bluetooth module on this system. Now, if your Wi-Fi is not working, or if you're having issues with your wireless controller where it doesn't connect to your Xbox 360 anymore, you might need to replace the Bluetooth / Wi-Fi module, and it's fairly simple. I'll show you guys how to do that right now. What you're going to need is our Fast Tech Pro Toolkit. And there is this piece in here which can be used to pry this plastic piece of trim off, and we're gonna pry this piece of trim off from this side here. As you can see, I'm sticking my pry tool in there all the way, and then I lift up and it's gonna come right off. Next, there are some tabs inside that we're gonna have to release. What we're gonna do is we're gonna stick our pry tool in one of these slots, and at the same time we're gonna lift up the trim with our other hand and keep holding it so that way the clips don't get re-engaged. All right, I'm holding it up, and now I'm sticking my pry tool in the other slot and lifting up at the same time. A lot of people get this plastic piece inside out separately and then get the outside trim out. I find doing it this way a lot quicker and a lot easier, and then that way you don't damage the trim inside, because it will get damaged in most cases if you do it the conventional way. So we're gonna keep sticking this pry tool in here while we lift up. We're trying to disengage the clips that are inside. This could be a little tricky. Take your time with it. The first time I did it, it took me a long time, and now I'm doing it after years, and it's taking me a long time again. I used to be able to do this in 4 seconds flat. And it took a little bit longer, but we got this piece off, as you can see, in one piece, and it's gonna be a lot easier to put back on. We can just push it back in once we're done. So now we have access to the network module, which is this chip right here. At this point, we're gonna get out our Fast Tech Pro Auto Kit, or just even the standard Fast Tech Pro driver. If you didn't order the Auto Kit, I would recommend the Auto Kit, because this one's automatic, unlike our regular toolkit, which is hand powered. So now we're gonna stick a T10 into our Fast Tech Pro Auto Kit. We're gonna get this T10 screw out of the way. Once we got that screw out, we can simply pull out the network module, and there it is. It's a model 1488, and there's some other numbers here that I believe these are part of the model number as well. X858591-002. And we sell this part on our website. If yours is broken, you can order a replacement from fasttechstore.com, or you can check the links in the description box and in the top comment. And you can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. Now, we're gonna look at the underside. We're gonna remove this piece of trim by just lifting it up. It's gonna come right off. Now we're gonna disengage the rest of the clips. Like that. And then now it's off. Took a little bit of prying. Like I said, I used to be able to do this in like 5-10 seconds flat on each side, but I haven't actually disabled the 360 Slim myself in quite some time. Now we're gonna remove the case, and now we're gonna look at this side. There's some clips that we're gonna have to disengage, and they're right here. I'm gonna put some light on here so you guys can see. Those are the clips that you need to remove. And I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that. We're going to stick our pry tool in here and lift up that clip. At the same time, you got to split the case open with the other hand like that. And once the clips come off, what you want to do is you want to tuck them on the outside, so that way they don't get clipped again when you're working on this side. All right, now on the other side, there's clips as well that we're gonna have to disengage. They're in here. We're gonna be splitting the case open with our left hand and be working on the clips with our right with our Fast Tech pry tool. And as you can see, I was able to pry that open. There's one more. And now the clips should be disengaged. Oh, click back in. Now we can pull the bottom side of the case off, and it's gonna come off like that. Now there's some screws that we're gonna have to remove. If you just want to remove the faceplate, or you want to get to the disk drive, we only have to remove these long Torx T10 screws. We already have our Fast Tech T10 bit in our kit, which we're gonna use to remove these screws. Now we're gonna flip the console over, and we're gonna be able to lift up this side of the case off. Hold on to the faceplate because there is a ribbon cable in here, and you don't want that thing to move around. If that breaks, your power button's not gonna work. Now we have this side of the case off, and let's get that out of the way. All right, like I said, you want to keep holding on to the faceplate, make sure it doesn't fall off because there's a ribbon cable underneath, and we don't want to break that. We're gonna lift up the console. We're gonna lift out the faceplate. As you can see, there's a ribbon cable underneath. I'm gonna lift up the cable from this side. This side is just plastic. And now we're gonna disengage the clip once it's lifted up. Once this side is lifted up, we're gonna disengage this clip and remove this ribbon cable like that. That's the faceplate. This right here is the power button, well, or the power touch sensor, and that's the eject touch sensor. And that's the sync button right there. This pushes in a button on the RF board here. And that's the actual sync button. We do sell this power button sensor / faceplate on our website at fasttechstore.com. Now I'm going to be showing you guys how to remove the RF board at the front. This board is responsible for certain wireless transmissions, and if you're having issues with your controller, or even sometimes certain powering issues, can be caused by this board. It's rare, but I've seen it personally in my career of fixing these Xbox 360s. We started this business fixing Xbox 360s, primarily the first generation OG Xbox 360s. As you guys know, those ones had tons of problems. We're gonna switch to a Torx T8 bit. Now we're gonna remove these T8 screws. Now we're simply gonna lift out this board and it's gonna come right out. And it's a closer look at the wireless board. It says Xbox 360S wireless model 1409. And we do sell this on our website. Links are gonna be in the description box and top comment for this and all other Xbox 360 parts. Now I'm going to show you guys how to replace the disk drive if you need to. We're going to lift up the disk drive slightly. There's two cables in the back we're going to have to remove. There's a SATA cable for data. Just grab that, pull it out, and one power cable. I'm going to pull it out like that. That's the disk drive right there. It's a Lite-On DG16D4S. That's a 1071. This would be a hackable disk drive. You wouldn't have to do the kamikaze hack on this one, as far as I remember, because I did a few of those back in the day. Now I'm going to show you guys how to properly replace the disk drive on one of these. A lot of people, that what they do is they order a disk drive off Amazon, which is the wrong site to be ordering any parts from. You should go to fasttechstore.com, of course. That's your first mistake. Your second mistake is not replacing the logic board. What you need to do is, when you replace these disk drives, is you need to open this disk drive right here. We're going to remove this piece from the back, and what we have to do is we have to take the logic board out of our old disk drive and put it into the new disk drive that we're going to order from fasttechstore.com. We're going to remove the 4 Phillips screws on the disk drive by switching to a Phillips bit. Now we're gonna remove this piece here, and we should have access to the disk drive. As you can see, this one does not have the epoxy around it. This is one that can be flashed easily through Jungle Flasher. Rest in peace to all the failed kamikaze hack Xbox 360 Slims. Alright, so now that we have the disk drive out, as you can see, the cables here have already been removed, because this is a system that an employee in the past was working on years and years ago, and then this thing sat in a storage and I pulled it out to make this video for you guys. But on screen you're looking at the factory wiring of what the logic board wiring on this thing should look like for these cables, and that's how your cables should look after you've done resoldering them. That's the orientation of the cables. So if you were replacing your disk drive, you would need a soldering iron like this one, or the Hakko FX951 I got in the corner right here. And you're gonna have to desolder these wires and resolder them back on. Fairly easy to do. It's not as difficult as you think. Maybe I'll make a basic soldering guide in the future, but please make sure to put that in the comment section if you want me to make that video. And also drop a like on this video. So we're also going to remove these ribbon cables. This one has a clip that we can pull out, and then we pull out the cable. This one has a similar clip that you can pull like this and then pull the cable out. This one has a clip that lifts up like that, and that's for the laser lens. and pull it out. And then we're going to push this clip here, and the disk drive logic board is out. And like I said, if you were replacing the disk drive, you take this disk drive, take your new disk drive, and put your old logic board into the new disk drive, solder the wires, install the cables, and then your disk drive is going to work. Otherwise, if you don't do this step, your new disk drive is not going to work. And that is because there's a key on the logic board that should match the key on the motherboard, and that's a security feature. You can bypass this by copying the key and the firmware using Jungle Flasher and flashing the key and the firmware to a new disk drive, and that's a whole nother step. But it's a lot easier to simply take out this logic board and put it into your new disk drive. Now we're gonna remove the fan, and to do that we're gonna lift up this shroud. It simply will lift out at this point. The connector for the fan is hidden under the hard drive bay here. And to remove everything else, we are gonna need to remove the Torx T10 screws on this side. And I'm also gonna be removing these Torx T8 screws that hold the heatsink clamp onto the APU chip. And on this generation, they did move to a single APU chip that had the GPU and CPU all in one die, versus the older generation 360, which had two different chips, one being the GPU and the other being the CPU. We're gonna switch back to a Torx T10, and we're gonna remove these T10 screws. Now we got the T10s out. And since I am going to be removing the motherboard as well, we're going to remove these screws as well. These are Torx T8, and again, both of these drivers, all the drivers that you need to disassemble your Xbox 360 and all other kinds of devices, are included in the FastTech Pro Auto Kit. Now, I'm gonna flip it on this side, and then there's gonna be one more Torx T10 screw here that we're gonna have to remove. Now we're gonna lift this piece up, but before we do that, we're gonna remove this SATA cable here and this power cable here. These are for the hard drive. Let's get that out of the way. And that's the hard drive caddy / bay that holds and connects the hard drive to the motherboard. Now I'm going to show you guys how to remove and replace the fan. We're going to switch to a Phillips bit. We're going to remove these two Phillips screws on the fan. Got the two Phillips screws out. We're going to remove the connector by grabbing it and wiggling it out, and that's the fan right there. I rarely see these Xbox 360 Slim fans go bad, but it does happen, and if it does, links in the description box. Now I'm going to remove this back plate here that has a serial number and manufacturing date on it. Looks like it's been colored in by some kid. Now we're going to lift up this piece out from the front. This helps stabilize and hold the disk drive in. Now we're going to lift up the board by grabbing it from the heatsink and lifting it up. And it's gonna come right out. And that's the motherboard right there. That's the the chassis that the system sits in. For those who don't know, the serial number also exists on this piece here on a sticker right by the USB ports. Now I'm going to be showing you guys how to remove this heatsink if you want to do a thermal paste replacement, or if you want to do a motherboard replacement at this point, that's how you do it. And we sell the motherboards on our website as well at fasttechstore.com. And keep in mind that you need to retain your disk drive logic board with your motherboard. And when we sell these motherboards, we send you a logic board that's matched to the motherboard. And that's a mistake that people make more often than not, because they think it's just like a PC disk drive where you can switch it out, but that's not the case. The logic board must stay with the motherboard, unless you're gonna copy the key off this and flash it onto a new disk drive logic board. Now, at this point, if you want to get the heatsink off to do a thermal paste replacement, we're going to flip the board over. We're going to remove this X clamp. For this, I recommend using our FastTech Pro toolkit, not the auto kit. You don't want to use the auto driver for this bit because you don't want your hand to be accidentally pressing this button while you're working on this side of the motherboard. And you'll see why in a second. So what you want to do is you want to get a flathead onto your FastTech screwdriver. You put it here like that. You stick it in here. Alright, and then we're just gonna twist and lift up. And as you can see, the clamp came undone. Same thing here. And once you do 3 of them, the 4th one is gonna come off on its own. And that's the X clamp right there. Same X clamps they used in older Xbox 360s, and same X clamps they used in Xbox One systems going forward. And they also use an X clamp, but not exactly the same X clamp, in the Xbox Series X. And again, not exactly the same design, as you can see here in a previous video that we did for an Xbox Series X disassembly. And now the heat sinks come off. To reassemble the motherboard back into the system, all you gotta do is re-watch how I disassembled it and reverse the steps. Thanks for watching another video from FastTech. Please be sure to smash that like button if this video helped you out, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. If you've subscribed already, please consider clicking the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to get notifications from our channel. Also, check out my vlog channel in which I travel the world and I record my adventures. Link for that is also going to be in the description box. This is Sharoz from FastTech, and I'll see you in the next one.